to test today?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
Okay, so for guys who are new today, the curriculum that we're working on is based on the hero's journey and archetypes. So kind of laid a foundation a couple weeks ago. We're going to stay on each of the archetypes for 3 weeks. So right now we're in this warrior phase. We talked a lot about a whole bunch of different stuff that has to do with warrior energy, but just so we can kind of all get on the same page, a bit of a refresher. So you think about characteristics of a warrior. You can write some of those down if they feel meaningful or relevant to you. You can also think about some of the actions or the roles that a warrior plays. And again, you could reference like sort of like the archetypal idea of like living in clans and tribes and the purpose that warriors served. You can also think about how that's maybe an antiquated way of thinking about it and what purpose do warrior archetypes serve in modern culture. And even more specifically, what purpose a warrior archetype might serve in the process of treatment, right? So we're thinking about the process of addiction, sobriety, and treatment as sort of like a hero's journey. And we talk about some different phases of that journey, right? This is like the summer, this is like the beginning of the journey, so we talked about departure. We referenced some pop culture examples. So basically any movie or book you've ever read or watched is based somewhat on the hero's journey. We talked about different events during our life cycle. So if you think about any kind of graduating schools or leaving your parents' house or joining some kind of military or fraternity, things like that, those are all kind of like journeys that you step out on. My personal take on all of this is that it is in some way rooted in some kind of trauma, right? So I'm trying to bring sort of like a trauma-informed view to how we navigate the process of addiction and sobriety, right? That means that instead of just stopping using and stopping drinking, which are important physical aspects of recovery, we really need to figure out the reason behind why you made the choice to get into addiction in the first place. Sometimes that's some super fucked up shit. Sometimes it's not. Some people just like to get drunk, or some people just like to do cocaine on the weekends, right? But if you do have trauma history and you're aware of it, that has to be part of the process. And you can get sober and avoid that for a long time. But if you do, the chances that you'll relapse or continue to use later in life probably will come up again. Talk about daily life struggles. So when we look at the article that I'm using regarding how sobriety and the hero's journey go together, this is like the beginning of it, right? All of us have to navigate the general bullshit of existing, right? That could be like working, that could be like relationships, that could be like hobbies. Obviously, treatment goes into that. We have to find ways of navigating daily struggles that don't require coping mechanisms, right? Coping mechanism is like allowing you to survive, right? And what we want to do is figure out ways that we can thrive in our daily life. So developing skills, picking up tools, garnering knowledge, and applying that so we eventually arrive at wisdom, all that kind of stuff. We're all familiar with sort of like the reactive process in sort of this early sobriety, where if you've been using for a while, your emotions and your thoughts are all coming online with a sober mind. You don't necessarily have a game plan or a template for how to communicate about how you feel or observe emotion in other people. So a lot of it is like lower brain reactive stuff. You're kind of functioning on instinct for a little bit, right? It's an okay place to start, but again, we need to be able to create some more robust ways, some more interactive ways of how we communicate about our emotions, how we understand our emotions, how we observe emotion in other people, etc., etc. We talked about this phase being sort of like a physical focus, right? So again, early sobriety, if you just stop drinking and just stop using, great. That's a good place to start, right? That allows your physical body to start the healing process. with that, our program downstairs, we talked about training goals. So for you guys who are here for the first time, I hate numbers for the most part as far as goals are concerned, right? I want you to think of like trajectories or like forecasting. So just saying things like showing up here 3 days a week and getting 3 good workouts in, that's a training goal. I don't care if you bench 225 or if you do 50 sit-ups, right? More relevant is like setting up new schedules and routines that allow your physical body to thrive. Let's see, so.
I got a question.
Sure, please.
Yeah, I kind of argued with Josh on that.
You argued with Josh?
Well, yeah, because I think numbers are important, and not that it's like, oh yeah, I bench 225, but I think if you set up numbers and correct movements, and you work to attain those, your performance and all the health are byproducts of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Kind of like, I don't know, I've just read a lot on like setting specific goals, which like yours was in terms of like showing up 3 times a day or a week. Yeah. But I think the numbers help because then that gives you a good gauge for like, oh, I might have been slacking this month. I didn't hit my number.
For sure.
I need to tweak the training a little bit because I feel like if your performance is going up, not only is your health benefiting, but like I just said, all the other stuff's a byproduct. Like I don't really focus on my body composition or measuring my weight.
Yeah.
Like, because honestly, if my performance is improving, all that's a byproduct.
So I'll clarify. So again, in this beginning, imagine that you've never trained before.
Oh, okay.
Right? So again, this is just like creating a template.
Or like
As you
people
more,
that
yeah.
might just be struggling to even get into the gym.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
The more advanced you get, the more advanced your programming can get, right? We can get into percentages, we can get into reps and sets, all of that's super valuable.
Mm-hmm.
But if I started you out with all of that, every time you didn't hit your numbers, right, that would be like a dink in your little confidence or your self-esteem. So here, I'm just trying to get you to like, just do something.
Get in the gym.
Yep, get in the gym. Get there 3 days a week. After 6 months of being there 3 days a week, now you have a baseline fitness. Now I can start to carve out a little more specific goals for you to reach, right? Because now your mindset is like, I just go to the gym. Go to the gym. But now you can be like, oh, I'm going to the gym and I'm super excited about hitting my bench PR or whatever it is.
Yeah. All right.
So it's not wrong. It's just like, this is the beginning of the process. You're talking about farther along in the process. Good question. What did Josh say?
He didn't really agree. I was pissed my mile time.
Yeah.
Well, I was pissed my mile. That's what set it off. I was pissed my mile time was like way slower. But I realized with running, once you get to a certain, according to your ability, you get it down to a certain, spectrum.
Right.
It could just be an off day or whatever. It gets hard to shave those seconds off. But I kind of just blatantly was like, dude, we haven't been training to get our mile time down.
Exactly. Right.
Like going and running 3 to 6 miles isn't conducive to getting my mile time running.
Exactly.
And so I kind of said that, and I was like, we should be doing intervals, block sprints.
Yeah.
And I kind of popped off one more than I should. But
Are you familiar with SMART goal setting? The acronym SMART?
yeah, well, I didn't read that specifically, but in prison I read this Napoleon Hill book, and it was like, so I set them. The first thing, number 1 is my goal. Number 2 is, I call it acquisition date, when you want to accomplish it by.
Yep.
3 is what you're going to give up.
Yep.
So like energy, money, watching extra movies because you're sleeping more, whatever is what you're giving up.
Yep.
And then 4 is the specific plan, and you just reverse engineer it.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, it hits all those.
Same
being
idea.
specific.
What's SMART mean?
It's just an acronym. for
Specific, measurable,
Yeah.
accessible, realistic, timely.
But no, that was actually one thing I've utilized a lot. From Napoleon Hill was that goal setting, and it's weird. Just by writing it down, there is like some magic in it.
There is some magic in it.
That does literally help you accomplish them more than. Because I've gotten to the point where I can just do that kind of in my head,
Mm-hmm.
but there is like some little thing if you write them down,
They keep telling us to do it, probably should.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, so phase, stage, and step. These are from 2 different resources that I would encourage you guys to check out if you have the time. The phases is from the 12 Phases of Healing by an author named Peter Levine. He's written a shit ton of books. He's got a whole bunch of stuff on YouTube. A great resource just for general mental health, but again, focusing on trauma, and even more so focusing on how trauma and addiction interact. Stages and steps are from an article called whatever it's called, the Roadmap to Healing. Roadmap to Healing. So again, we set up 12 stages. We're going to go through each of these once a week, and they're all progressive. They all build on each other to eventually give you like a whole thing template of how to navigate this process effectively. Okay, so we talked about avoiding dissociation and denial. Anybody not clear on the difference or want to talk more about that? Good. Establishing safety and competence. So these go hand in hand, right? If you know that some bullshit happened to you, you're ready to confront it and you stop avoiding it. The next step in the process is starting to feel safe with yourself and eventually starting to feel safe with other people. Competence is talking about just generally as a human being, right? Trying to get back to taking good care of yourself, trying not to be an asshole to the people around you, and in some way contributing positively to whatever you're doing in your life. Finally, we talked about understanding yourself and the world. So I had the guys that were here look up assessments, and I'm sure they did. I'm positive someone did. Anyone?
I don't remember, was I late?
Yeah.
So I didn't hear you say
You
that.
did.
Yeah.
All right. 0 for 6. 0 for 6 is not the best percentage.
Is this on Friday?
It was on Friday.
So there were 2 things you mentioned on Friday.
There were.
One was, what would your life be like now if you had continued your addiction?
Mhm.
Right? What would you be doing right now?
Mm-hmm.
And the second was, look up an addiction self-assessment.
Mhm.
Fill that out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if it makes you feel better, I would've done it, but I.
Well, yeah, I believe somebody would have. I believe anyone would have. So, again, the homework now is to acquire a self-assessment. If you don't have one, I'll show you a couple on the internet. There are literally hundreds.
And it's what, for addiction or trauma or what kind of self-assessment?
What feels relevant to you is what I want. I want you to go through a self-assessment process that feels relevant to the journey that you're experiencing. After you do that, you're going to start a journal about it. You're going to reflect on the results of that assessment, and then the next time we meet, we'll have something to discuss. Okay, so we added 2 steps today. We're going to briefly touch on those 2 steps and have a conversation about them. Step 2 is understanding the journey of healing. Step 3 is changing your story. What do you not understand about your healing journey currently?
When it's ever gonna begin, I guess.
You've done nothing? You're not
No,
any
I
better
feel
than
like
you
I
used to
am.
be?
I just feel like I'm in like the starting blocks, and
Okay.
like
Yeah.
the dude keeps fucking not loading his firing gun on me.
Well, and like we've talked about, this is cyclical, right? When we have these conversations, it sounds very linear, it sounds very like just do the next thing, but life is not like that, right? Sometimes you have to go through this process a few times on a daily basis, and you don't make any progress, right? And then sometimes you won't have to interact with this for a week, and at the end of that week, you're like, dang, it does feel good to be on the healing journey. And that will change and morph for the rest of your life, right? This is kind of to your point about training goals. They're good reference points, but if you just think about getting to that goal and you don't forecast anything after that, it can be kind of a letdown, right? Even though you're successful, even you actually accomplish the thing you wanted to accomplish, if you just get there and then the process stops, that can fuck with your head, right? So we're talking about how to keep this like a constant daily reference, right? Where, yeah, you'll accomplish something, you'll give yourself a high five, that'll be great, and then on to the next. And that's how we track those things, right?
Well, what I've realized is, I find when I like read the Carlos Castaneda stuff every day, it helps. But I feel like it also distances me. So I don't know how to put the two together, because some of the stuff he says is like,
So,
I mean, he doesn't really say to like isolate, but like some of the stuff is like a lot of people would take it as kind of like morbid but so I don't know how to like pair those two, because I feel like, yeah, like I don't know, I guess I don't know how to put them together.
so in
I
theory,
can I can improve my internal dialogue, but it's like, I feel like I'm good at shutting it off, but then it's like, well, then I'm hearing all day like, no, you need to open up, and then when I open up about shit, then my internal dialogue kicks in, like, about all the bullshit, I guess. And it's like, so I don't know which one's better, I guess, or just pick and choose when I open it, and then just shut it right back off, because I'm good at just shutting it off and distracting myself, so I don't know what to. Because now that I feel like I'm actually trying to work on myself, my internal dialogue's just gotten super shitty.
Well, that says something right there.
But like part of the solution apparently is to stop it. So then it's like,
No.
which one do I do?
alright, hold on, so, first of all,
Because like if you're getting stuck in that cycle, then yeah, it is conducive to just stop it and just.
so what you're experiencing in therapy speak is what we call a dialectic. Dialectic means there's two, and they're not mutually exclusive. So what you're trying to do is say that there's one that's more valuable or more important than the other. That's not true. You have to have both.
Well, I don't think it's one or the other. I don't know how to mesh them.
Yeah. Right, but also you just explained the whole thing. You just said, do I turn it off and turn it on? Are there situations where it's relevant and sometimes it's not? That's reality.
Yeah.
So you have the ability to do the thing right now because you just explained it to all of us. You just said, sometimes I feel this way, sometimes I hear this from the book. I can't do them both at the same time because it's impossible. But also that you know there are some times when it's useful and sometimes when it's not for both of those things. So that's the trick. There's no like, ugh. I mean, you can make yourself anxious about it, but you personally are also self-aware enough to know that when your internal dialogue kicks on, there's value there and you're gonna work some shit out in your head. And also, when you're with other people or there's a social environment, you'll be able to work some shit out there. And it won't be the same thing because it's not supposed to be. And the things that you address in those two unique situations will address unique things.
So I'm supposed to just be able to like kind of turn it on and off.
You're not supposed to do anything. You will do that naturally.
I'm going through it, just being able to go through it. It's like it's not a stop. You just have to be able to go through it. And what the part, in my opinion, what helped for me is like what matters the most is how I handle the deep negative shit. You know, it's like, do I let it fuck me up, or do I let it turn me sour, or do I let it fucking turn me off, or I sit through it and then fucking see what happens. So I'm usually not willing to sit through it. I can usually like distract myself. You know,
But I can find that I cannot let it not turn me sour, but then I just turn into like a borderline sociopath. Like,
exactly. That's the result.
But that's
what
also,
I feel like.
but that's also relevant, right? Like there will be times when the stuff you want to process requires you to be by yourself.
Yeah.
Just like there will be some stuff when you want to make headway on it that will require you outsourcing it or putting yourself in a social environment or having support from someone else.
I don't usually feel that way though.
Yeah, you don't have to. I'm not saying there's a supposed to or a should. I'm saying those two situations will present themselves and you'll have the opportunity to access them. And if you choose not to, then don't. But there's not like a better or worse. You could take advantage of all of those opportunities. You could also take advantage of none of them. You can talk yourself in or out of either of them. But you also understand that there is value in both of them, given the relevant social context and your daily mood and all that other stuff about real life.
And the best way for me to check in on where I'm at is like, if I'm going through these and I'm seeing the same results, or I'm feeling the same way, or I'm getting the same fucking self-deprecating thoughts that I have, is like, I know like whatever I think that I'm doing is not fucking working, you know? And it usually just crushes me, you know, like how fucking I'm broken, you know? But results have been different because like every time I've had these thoughts of like I'm not fucking good enough, or like I'm broken, or I'm just gonna be alone forever, I'm not lovable. They've all like every time. So like I've handled them. I started to try a different way of handling it, and what happened was I noticed my thought, and then fucking what happened was is that like I just noticed my thought, and then I respond to myself with something like a correction. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not lovable. No, Shane, you're a good guy. You did this for this person today. You didn't snap on that guy. You know, you care about other people. And it's constant, you know. And that's how I've been able to like kind of see like, okay, maybe I'm not as much of a piece of shit as I think, you know. And it's just like,
I
yeah.
don't know, I feel like I don't believe some of that bullshit though, that it would take to like, the analogous would be like somebody who doesn't work out and is super overweight, and you're like, they're telling themselves like, well, you're a good,
No.
you're fit, you got this.
No, they gotta be realistic.
The ultimate bare reality is like, no, you're not fit, you're fat, and you're overweight,
Right.
and like,
They'd have to be realistic reasons, you know.
Because that's the thing.
but I can't come up with any, because mine are like, I hear what you're saying, like,
Yeah.
but that's why that stuff's never worked for me, because I haven't found valid enough reasons or the right ones to trick myself, because I gotta truly believe it, otherwise it's not gonna work for me.
Yeah, but you don't, because listen, right now, how long have you been at the house?
I don't know, 4 months.
So you have 4 months of previous experience to reference that you're not in the starting blocks of your healing journey anymore. You can choose to be realistic about that and say, sometimes it really feels like I'm just at the beginning of this. That's relevant, that's realistic. You could also choose to phrase it as, damn, look how much progress I've made in 4 months. It feels like I'm really getting out of the blocks and I'm starting my healing journey. They're the exact same thing. And neither of them are wrong or unrealistic. But you can phrase it in a way of like, strengths-based, I am doing a thing, it is producing results. Or you could be an asshole to yourself and say, I'm such a piece of shit, I wish I could do better, blah, 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 blah. They're both real.
Language is key.
I mean, language is super important about it.
Yeah.
And you're smart enough, you know the language, and you know the difference between when you can really like acknowledge that you've made progress versus when you're like feeling shitty about yourself and not saying the things that are also realistic that.
Well, I really don't think I have made much progress besides like not leaving and staying sober.
So that's
Like,
progress though.
Well, that's like part of the issue though, is like I'm smart enough to like be able to find a valid reason for the negative self-talk.
Okay, but you could also try to figure out like what is the thing that's not making you feel progressive right now? What's the thing that you're not willing to acknowledge that lets you feel like you've made some success in the last 4 months?
Well, I didn't really open up at all to Doug at all. I fought that tooth and nail.
Yeah, but you
I
know,
really didn't open up to anybody in the program at all, ever. And it got to the point where like, I wanted to leave one day, and then it was like, this was like a consolation, like, okay, well, we're not gonna kick you out totally, like, we understand, like, I feel like Nevin's like throwing me a bone pretty much, because he knows I need a place to live, and I'm riding it out till I go back to school, and he doesn't want me on the street, because he knows I would definitely probably use.
so listen, how long have you wanted to open up and be vulnerable?
I don't.
Yeah, so why are you trying to aim for a goal that you're not even excited about right now? You're not even thinking about how to go about opening up and being vulnerable. So why are you holding it against yourself, knowing that it's not even something you're trying to do?
Well, because it's like battered into me day in, day out. Like every therapy seems to be like, whoa, you need to open up. And it's like,
For sure,
implied
because-
that like if you're not doing that and being the most vulnerable, then you're not really trying.
Right, because people have done that.
Like
and
I
we've
hear
seen
that
them
all the
heal.
time in AA, like everywhere. It's
Yeah,
like, oh,
and
if
it
you
works,
aren't-
and it works.
But you just said like if I'm not at that stage.
Yeah, you don't
like,
have to do it though.
I'm like,
But if you want to continue healing, you have to make the choice to do the thing that you don't want to do. We're not telling you to open up and be vulnerable because it doesn't work for everyone. Anybody who does that in therapy sees progress. Just because you're being told to do it doesn't mean that you have to want to do it. If you're going to resist it, then you won't ever see that healing. But it's not because the thing doesn't work, it's because you make the choice not to pursue the thing that you
That's
want.
not what I'm saying at all, like, I didn't. That goes back to the progress thing, I'm just saying I haven't really opened up much, like, I'm trying to get to that point,
Yeah, you are.
but, like, in terms of progress of like, oh yeah, he opened up, like, he's doing away with, like, that, none of that's happened, so that's like going back to the progress where, like, I really feel like I haven't done much.
Which is realistic.
And so then that goes back to the crux of the issue, like me fooling myself with some negative self-talk, like, oh, you've done the most.
Well,
Like,
when
you
do you
really,
say that to
you
yourself?
really,
Do you really blow smoke up your own ass walking around like, oh, you're doing great, Foley?
No, I don't.
You
Like,
don't,
that was
so-
just the thing to do, is blow smoke up your ass so
No,
you
it's
don't
not-
feel better, so
not
you
at
feel
all.
better in the moment.
No, not at all. It's forcing yourself to find realistic wins that you made for
Yeah,
yourself.
it's
That's-
not about
that's what I
faking it. It's not
was
about
saying,
faking
I
it.
don't feel like I've made realistic wins.
Because you
Well,
haven't. That's okay.
you
That's
fucking-
okay.
you
Because
fucking
what you
will.
have done is stayed sober and stayed at the house, and you're working on those skills. And when you're ready to open up and receive the value that that will provide for you in healing, then you'll do it. And you're not ready right now, and that's okay. There's nobody going to pressure you into it. There's nobody going to say you're a bad person because you're not doing it. We just know that that is part of the healing process, and you're not there yet. And that's it. There's nothing wrong with that. Nobody should be giving you any shame or bullshit for that, because that's a practice. You need reps doing what you just did. You just sat in front of 7 guys, shared that you're not doing well and that there's a challenge that you're experiencing and you don't know how to navigate it. That is being open and vulnerable, and you're doing it right now.
Yeah, but I feel like a lot of people don't have the context of what you just said. A lot of people like
Yeah,
just
a lot of people
immediately
don't.
go like, oh, he's not opening up, like he's on some different shit, he don't
Fuck
give
them.
a fuck, he's
Who
not
gives
on
a
the
shit?
program.
Who
Like,
gives a shit?
Well,
Is it
I give a
relevant to
shit
you?
because a lot of these people are people that I'm supposed to be going to like form a community with, because they're
Ideally.
recovery based.
Yeah, ideally.
And then it comes across as like judgmental, dismissive, and cliquish.
Yeah, and just like
And then I backtrack and say, fuck y'all, and like, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like,
for sure. And it's just like
so-
relevant to like how you found the therapist, right? Like it took you 5 or 6 to be able to say to somebody, here's my bullshit, and for someone to say, I see your bullshit, and I can hold space for that. Because just because I'm a therapist, or just because a person is a counselor, doesn't mean they're a good person, doesn't mean they have the skills, doesn't mean they give a shit about you.
You're right.
It takes you going through that process a few times, to lay your bullshit out there enough so that people can say, oh, this is gonna be challenging. And if they don't have the nuts for it, fuck them.
Well, that's what I brought up to my therapist, is I realized, like, I think a lot of it's not even me so
Yeah,
much. It's
exactly,
like,
exactly.
It's like there's so many few real motherfuckers out there,
Exactly.
like, I can't relate to them, and then
Exactly.
it's getting lonely,
Exactly.
and then, like, and it's like, they look at me like I'm some weird ass dude, like, and that's even more, like, and then I sway from just like, I can get on my high horse and realize, like, you guys aren't even on the same shit, but then that's cool, I've accomplished a lot, but it's lonely. So like, I'm
For
trying
sure.
to learn to navigate like somehow giving a fuck again
Yeah.
amongst all these people that don't even have the self-awareness, like just like based off the moves and the shit they're saying.
Yeah.
Like, and so, you know, it's like, I'm not Jesus, but like, fuck, nobody understood him either. Like, he was
It's a
one of the best
relevant
dudes in the
example.
world, and they killed him, and his own mom forsook him,
Yeah. Yeah.
like it's on a spectrum, and that's how I feel, like, and it's lonely, because it's like, really, it's getting to the crux of the issue of like, okay, change yourself enough that you fit back in with these people, or just keep rolling with what you're doing, and just hope by, you know, on outlier 6 over here on the bell curve, I happen to bonk my head into somebody that relates.
And you found a therapist.
Yeah, I mean,
Bro,
yeah,
you can make it statistics. If that's better for your brain, make it statistics. You have 3% that are gonna fit in and do the thing that you need to get done so you can heal. 3%. You found a therapist out of 6. Be realistic about it. You're not gonna walk around in the world having experienced the things you've experienced and be able to high five everybody. For one, most people don't give a shit. For two, none of the people have the experiences that you have. So you trying to share your shit with people who don't know what you're talking about, of course it's gonna be frustrating. Of course it's gonna feel lonely.
But it also makes it easier.
But also, it makes it easier, and you
Yeah.
will find that 3%. You will find the people who have experienced things similar to you. You will find people who have the skills, tools, and time to invest in your healing process because it's out there, because they do exist.
Yeah. Especially when you go in it knowing that this person's fucking not gonna have any idea what I'm gonna be talking about, nor is he gonna be relate, and I think he's a fucking idiot. And then it's like a directed practice, like, hey, this is what happened with my mom when I was younger. Hey, this is when I got fucking beat, you know. Hey, I had to fucking survive every day when I was a kid in youth authority and fight my way out of everything, every fucking moment. So, you know, it makes it easier when you go in with the intention of practice. It's a practice, it's like an intended practice of vulnerability. Knowing that you're not going to gain anything from this person, you're just going to gain something by practicing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, trying to flirt with people for practice.
And I'm not gonna shut this down, but I do wanna give some other guys some opportunities, and you and I can definitely check in about that individually. Because that's a rich, robust conversation to have, Floyd. There's a lot of good stuff in there.
Knowing me though, you got your chance now, cause.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll be here for
No,
a
I'm
minute.
just
I'm not
saying,
scared.
for real, like, yeah,
I'll
chances
catch
are
you on the
next
front
time
porch
we
again
meet,
or
I'll
something.
just be
Yeah.
on some other shit, we're like, yeah,
That's
I'm
fine.
trying to show you good.
Plenty of shit to talk about. Okay, so, one example. Anybody else having trouble understanding where they are in their healing journey? Anybody curious about things they don't know about their healing journey?
When I got out of treatment, I didn't think it was like the end of it, and like it was just like set, but I was very complacent and slipped back into the habits that I'd have if I was using drugs. I just wasn't using drugs while doing them, just being, whatever that was like. And I found that didn't work for me, clearly. And so the last couple of weeks I've been doing that. I've been trying to understand what that's going to look like for me going forward. Which has been going to meetings for now, and trying to find an IOP. Being here, giving this a stab, throwing myself at it a little bit more, because I can definitely subsist and make it through. Not doing much, but it is not very fruitful ultimately for my recovery. And yeah, so try to figure out what that looks like.
Nice. So, phrase it in a question for me. What you don't understand about your healing journey is?
So what my day-to-day looks like, I guess.
What my day-to-day life looks like as a sober person.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I find it a little bit.
Yeah, what's the first thing you want to address?
I've been going to meetings every day.
So you're changing your social environment.
Yeah, and that's been giving me a lot of relief from anxiety, a lot of perspective,
Mm-hmm.
especially when I started going to NA instead of AA. That was a big thing for me.
Mhm.
It really made a difference.
Around the real dope fiends.
Yeah, exactly. No, but that's big. Figuring out how to manage trauma with my spouse, and having to resuscitate me
Mm-hmm.
2 times in a week is pretty scary, and so figuring out how to fix that is a big question for me right now. I know it's time, and I know they have a lot of shit they're gonna have to unpack and deal with on their own, but trying to figure out what my part of that looks like, and approach it healthily without sacrificing my recovery, because that's my tendency in my marriage, is to be a savior and to handle everything, say everything's all fucking cool, everything's fucking good, I got this handled and don't worry. And that's, a big part of my addiction is like, hey, don't worry, shit's good, I got this handled.
But it's not.
Of course.
Okay.
So trying to not take that role on, and yeah.
Not too soon.
Yeah.
Cool step work, dude.
Yeah, step work can be valuable. Again, it just gives us a template, right? Gives us some waypoints to pay attention to.
Mhm.
Anything else on step 2 before we move on?
So you're talking about the day-to-day, right? And I'm thinking about the end goal? Like, what is it, what down the road, what does that look like? And that's the thing that I'm having a hard time visualizing. Like, I have no idea what's next.
Oh, that's the best part though.
What, yeah, what aspect of?
Well, I mean, so we're talking about archetypes, and we're talking about the hero's journey, and we're talking about, you know, familiar stories that we know, and all these steps, and the end, you know, the homecoming, and all of this. We're storytelling people, so we can relate to that. I can relate to that. And I, despite the fact that we have all of that framework, I still can't visualize what that homecoming thing looks like.
Oh, Mr. Miyagi.
You're
And
gonna be in
if you're talking about goals, like you're talking about visualizing what's there, and I can't visualize that.
You're gonna be in the Bahamas sipping non-alcoholic.
So remember, we talked
Not
about,
good, huh?
we talked
Yeah,
about
not
the
good.
4 pillars, right? Then the very first part of this was physical, psychological, emotional, spiritual, right? So the real answer is there is no end point, and that's exactly the point. Because if you reference those 4 pillars on a daily basis, if you conceptualize this as cycles, right? There will always be some way to advance yourself, to develop your character in some capacity in those 4 pillars. So for example, we're all getting older, right? We've all had injuries, right? At some point, our physical bodies are not going to do the things we want them to. And I fucking hate it too, right? But at some point, the physical barriers that we experience are going to take that one kind of out of it. We're going to just be walking, and that's going to be great, right? Psychologically, I think that's infinite. You can always learn something, you can always improve the processes that you go through, you can always evolve or change the things and the ways that you think, right? Emotionally, hopefully you don't get stunted emotionally where you are right now. Hopefully you continue to advance your knowledge of yourself, your understanding of emotion from other people, your ability to communicate articulately about what you're feeling with the people who are important to you. And spiritually, hopefully you continue to find ways to interact with the divine or experience awe throughout your life cycle. So again, super linear, very simple. But this is kind of to my point about training goals and being specific. If you set yourself up with some image in the future that you imagine is going to be the thing when you arrive,
That's gonna be a letdown.
there's no reality that makes that the thing that will actually happen. Could you actually get to a place where you envision like you're well-to-do and all of your material needs are taken care of and all the people that you love are safe and have good relationship with you? Absolutely, that'd be great. But that won't be the thing that you imagine. So, the process, the journey, being able to find meaning and purpose and joy and all of those things as you continue navigating life with whatever template you choose to continue navigating it with.
So it sounds like in a way that the state that you should be visualizing, that one should be visualizing, is imagine when you get to that place, that person should be a person looking for that next.
Well, let me fuck with your head and
Phase
just say,
of life.
why don't you imagine what you're doing right now is that?
He's in the eternal moment.
What's wrong with imagining? I mean, there are ancient philosophical tenets that say that if your ability to do that becomes the thing that you focus on, that you will experience things that no other people experience.
It's kind of like saying, I wish I could visualize the person of myself in the future because I would know all of this stuff in between, but then you could also shift that and say, well, what about right now to my former self? I'm that enlightened person.
Exactly.
Fuck.
And you're never wrong. If you want to get really trippy about it, even the process of addiction and going through the struggles that you went through in addiction was you being the person that you are. And we fuck it up because we put some guilt on ourselves, or we have shame because of the way we acted, or
I
we
don't know,
take.
that guy was an asshole.
Yeah, you probably were. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's a human doing a human being. Did you hurt people? Could you make recompense for that? Absolutely. But also, if you hadn't been an asshole then, would you have gotten to the point where you wanted to pursue something better now?
Mm.
And I'm not, It always gets philosophical, and we're like, oh, deep. it's
That's
so
not even
deep.
philosophical, that's just cause
But
and
it's like,
effect.
yeah, it's just like how we exist, right? Like if you are here today, there was something that happened previously that drove you to this point. And if that was a bad thing, there's actually a lot of value in it because it's pushing you to a point where you don't want to be that person or act that way anymore. And here we come. Last step, step 3, changing one's story. This is what the journaling is about. This is why the reflection is so important. This is why writing it down has more effect than just being able to keep it in your head and say, oh yeah, I am making progress. When we have something tangible, and especially around words and language that we can reference, where it says, damn, I did say that thing. I did write that down and say that that was important to me. And either A, I've been doing the things and it feels good, I can accomplish that, high five, or B, damn, I need some accountability and I need to be more responsible about the things that I write down and say so that I can actually start living the life that I want to live.
Yeah, language is so important.
I agree.
It's so important.
So in the next 10 minutes, what are things we can do? What are actions that we can engage to start changing our story?
Come on, you guys.
Reframing it. I mean, that's kind of just restating.
You said reframing.
But yeah.
Yeah, so what does that look like? How does that work?
I mean, thinking about the fact that what's happening now isn't going to go on forever. That's like a very simple way to do that.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
So maybe a better question. When we talk about reframing, what are we reframing?
we're kind of trying to change our own perspective on our own actions
Perspective.
and choices.
So we can't change the things that we've already done.
Yeah.
So we reframe how we feel, we reframe how we think, we reframe how we behave.
I mean, kind of, but it's a lot more difficult than that.
It's not.
It's not why.
Well, it depends. It
So
depends
tell
on-
me, no, it's okay. So tell me why it's more difficult than that.
Well, I mean, okay, it depends on where you're at, I think. Like, you can, if you're feeling like absolute crap, it's very difficult to reframe whatever you're feeling crap about. It doesn't mean it's impossible, give it a day or two.
In the beginning, it is like, it's like the first time you work out, you're gonna be sore for 2 weeks. But after like that, it gets way easy.
What gets easier?
The ability to reframe and notice our problems and being able to change it. It's like almost like I get to do this now. It becomes like a skill. Like it's a flex, dude. It's pretty cool, actually. You know what I mean? It's like, how do I want to fucking change my life today? But you can't understand it. You can't change the story without understanding the journey of your, where you're at, facing. But like changing your language, but also like your reality, changing, your environment. I don't want to be in this environment.
So it sounds like you're describing a process, Shane.
Yeah.
So where does that process start? What's the first step? If somebody came in right now and they were saying, "Fuck, my life's fucked up. I want to be different." Where do they start?
Willingness.
Intention.
Yeah. They have to be willing.
And what does willingness entail? Like, what
It's
does
like,
it
oh,
mean to be
dude,
willing?
I'm bleeding everywhere. I want to stop bleeding so bad. I keep cutting myself, and then you're like, okay. So are you willing to stop cutting yourself? Yeah, like maybe I'll start cutting my legs, but I'm not gonna stop cutting. But I want my arms to stop bleeding. It's just
Change your
like-
behavior.
Huh?
Changing your behavior.
Well,
Yeah.
But is that the first thing?
No.
I mean, in that case, you need to have a reason to want to change.
For a lot of
your
guys today,
attitude.
is changing your behavior.
So you just do a thing differently. You never have an emotion about it. You don't think about how it's going to change. You don't think about the plus or minus for changing
You have
it.
a reaction to the negative aspects of the behavior you want to change. The
So
reaction.
very early on, there is a reaction, right? Because it's an instinctual thing. but this is like impulse driven. This
Yeah.
is like, boing,
I'm
boing,
about that,
boing,
dude.
boing. We're change for change's sake only, not change for progression, not change for improvement, not change for development.
So you're talking about having intention.
Right? I am talking about having intention.
Yeah.
And I'm asking if you think that that is before behavior changes.
Is having intention before behavior changes? It would have to be.
I would think so too. But do you hear how quickly you were like, just change your behavior? Because that's what we all think.
Yeah,
Like,
but
well,
then-
I'm just gonna be different.
Yeah, fucking good luck. It breaks you, dude. You know? It makes you think that you're not capable of doing it, honestly.
It does.
Makes me, that's why I thought I was broken for fucking years. Because I was like, I fucking can't do it. I haven't been able to do it. You know?
But you just told him to just do it.
I didn't tell him to do that.
No, you told him, the dude to your left, to just do it. Like, you literally just was like, you used your cutting analogy as like a sign that somebody's not willing because they didn't just do something.
Yeah, so he's saying that willingness has to be the initiator. He's
that's
saying that intention
But I
has to.
don't think somebody's actions are always a good gauge of if they're willing.
Absolutely not, and that's exactly my
And
point.
that's where that analogy went.
Yeah, and that's a good thing that we clarify, right? Because all of us at some point were intentional about not using or quitting drinking, and it took other things to happen before that intention manifested in changes in thought patterns and changes in behavior. And that's why I'm trying to draw our attention. We all think that we could just like, I'm just gonna quit cold turkey and I'm just gonna stop doing the thing. But the thing that happens 7 steps before that is thinking about, like, to David's point, why do I wanna do that? Why do I wanna stop bleeding and cutting my arm? What's the value of me even having this fucking conversation in my head? All of that shit happens before any behavior change takes place. If you guys haven't, who's familiar with the stages of change?
Rings a bell.
Yeah, it's for homework. Google it. Stages of change. You guys need to know where you are in that process because it will bring light to how you're navigating this. If you think you're somewhere else in the process of change than where you actually are, physically, psychologically, emotionally, and spiritually, you're gonna be frustrated as shit for a long time until you can match up those 4 pillars with where you are actually in this process. Right? Because they have to match up. If you feel like you're ready to quit using, but you still hang out with your dope dealer every day,
Yeah.
those things can't go together. They can't. You can have all the intention in the world of wanting to quit, but if you put yourself in an environment where there's enough,
That means you're not willing.
it means you're not willing.
Right.
You haven't yet decided, like, I'm willing to give up this social interaction to further the process of me getting sober.
Right. Willingness is hard because it involves surrender.
It does. And sacrifice.
Yeah.
You have to give something up.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, just a quick review, we'll be out of here. Homework, write an assessment, do it. Once you've done the assessment, reflect on it, write it down in a journal. The big deal right now is focusing on how to improve your internal dialogue. Before you can improve it, what do you have to do?
Acknowledge it.
You have to acknowledge it and be aware of it. There has to be an intention, once you're aware of it, that you want it to be different in some way. Then you can start trying to make changes. Practice those reps. Every time you find yourself in a distressful situation, that's your opportunity to flex that muscle and be like, fuck, I'm saying the same shit again and I'm getting the same results, but I don't want that. I want it to be different somehow. Make sense? Who's gonna do the homework?
I'm going
I will.
1, 2. You've said it in a room of men that will hold you accountable.
Me.
There's 4. Okay, good. So look, part of this process is saying it here, so now when everybody shows up on Wednesday and you didn't do it, you will be publicly mocked. Just kidding, it's a joke. Alright, good work tonight, guys. Thank you for your time and attention. Give me a high five on the way out.